Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I'll be recapping Week 10 in the NBA, including the announcement of the nominees for the Basketball Hall of Fame, also some Anthony Davis news, and a new owner for the Suns. We'll talk about it all, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, so we're on to Week 10 in the NBA. We'll do a Week 10 recap, and then I'll have a separate episode, and that'll be on the Christmas Day games, the 5-game slate. So let's get into it. So we start with Monday, and of course, every Monday we talk about players of the week. So let's this not be any different. So talking about players of the week, and we have in the West the Joker, Nikola Jokic, and let's talk about his week. He went 2-1. They defeated Washington and Charlotte, lost to the Lakers though. So, and for the week, the Joker went for 36 points per game, 17.3 rebounds, along with 8.7 assists, 3.7 steals. So he very active hands this week. Shot at 62% from the field and hit a little over 80% from the free throw line. So the Joker doing Joker things pretty much. As far as his MVP aspirations, always on the table when you got a talent like this. So kudos to him for being player of the week. And then in the East, Donovan Mitchell, who has been a godsend since he got to Cleveland. 3-1 for the week, beating Dallas twice and then beating Indiana as well. They did lose, however, to the San Antonio Spurs, surprisingly so. But nonetheless, Donovan, he goes for 32 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 2.7 assists. He made over 4 threes per game during the stretch. And oddly enough, he shot it nearly 54% from the field and a whopping over 88% from the free throw line. So Donovan Mitchell, pretty much you can put it in ink pen, in fact. Ink pen him being in the All-Star game representing the East. So having a fabulous year so far. All right, with that said, let's talk about the games at hand, shall we? Pascal Siakam. Boy, you talk about a player on fire. He scores 38 points along with 15 rebounds, 6 assists. But however, in a overtime loss to the Philadelphia 76ers, 104-101. And oddly enough, in that overtime, there was only 7 points scored between each team. So you talk about a tough defensive battle there. 5 points for the Sixers, only a mere 2 points in 5 minutes for the Raptors. So they take the L there. Joel Embiid leads the Sixers, of course, 28 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. So, but Pascal Siakam, the story here, a man playing on fire as of late. So then we move on to the Atlanta Hawks. You get 2 players back, Dejounte Murray back from his ankle sprain, and then John Collins, he too had an ankle sprain. So both of them make their return on Monday, and it leads to a win over the Orlando Magic, 126-125. And in that game, Murray, 17 points with 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And John Collins just 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists in his return. So, of course, Trae Young led everything, 37 points with 13 assists. And for Orlando, oh, by the way, Dejounte Murray hit the game-winning free throws to ice the win for the Hawks. For the Orlando side, Markelle Fultz. I think I mentioned him last week. I'll mention him once again. He led the way for the Magic, 22 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. Since he's been inserted back into the starting lineup, you've starting to see some dividends being paid for the Orlando Magic. Markelle Fultz, when healthy, is a solid point guard. So, of course, the emphasis when healthy. So, health has always been a key with him ever since he entered the league as that number 1 pick for the 76ers, in fact. So, Markelle Fultz just balling right now. So, again, he's healthy. So, when he's healthy, he's able to put these kind of numbers across the board. So kudos to him. But Atlanta gets the win. Giannis drops 42 points along with 10 rebounds as Milwaukee on the road gets the win over the Pelicans 128-119. Giannis exploding as always, doing MVP type things himself, and getting support from Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez has had a fine year. Remember last year he missed pretty much all of last season with his injury there, but he's been healthy all year long. 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists for him. And he's among the league leaders in blocks as well. So Brook Lopez having a fine campaign. On the losing side, Giannis Valanciunas, 37 points for him, 18 rebounds and 5 assists. And CJ McCollum, who's been balling, 31 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds for him. I will probably talk about CJ McCollum a little further later. Yes, I will. So I'll leave that for a little while. So, and then we have Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards and Naz Reid each delivers 27 points and 13 rebounds, but Edwards, he throws in 9 assists with his, as Minnesota stifles Dallas 116-106. So Minnesota getting the home win over Dallas. And in that game, they held Luka in check. Luka Doncic, 19 points, but he did it on 5 of 17 shooting. Not very good. And then you have Christian Wood. Not a good game for him either. 15 points on 4 of 11 shooting. He did have 13 rebounds and 2 blocks. So subpar games from your 2 top players for Dallas. So, but nonetheless, Anthony Edwards, who I think it's possible he could sneak into the All-Star conversation. More likely than not, he's been holding the fort pretty much since Karl Anthony Towns went down with his injury. So Anthony Edwards doing his thing. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues his torrid pace, has 35 points along with 6 assists, 2 blocks, including the game-winning basket for the Thunder as they defeat the Portland Trailblazers 123-121. So SGA on his all-star tear himself. So, and for the losing side, for the Blazers, Dame Lillard, 28 points for him. Talk about him in a little bit as well. And Jeremy Grant, 26 points. Charlotte Hornets pull off the upset win at Sacramento, 125-119. And in that game, Kelly Oubre Jr., 31 points with 9 rebounds, who's been having a pretty good year, Kelly Oubre Jr. LaMelo Ball doing his thing, 23 points, along with 12 assists, 5 rebounds for him. So LaMelo Ball looking healthy yet again, overcoming those ankle issues. De'Aaron Fox leading the way for Sacramento with 37 points, 5 rebounds. And then you have Domantas Sabonis, who continues to be solid and then some. 28 points, 23 rebounds, so another 20 for him in the books, along with 7 assists. So, but Sacramento taking a loss to Charlotte at home. So that's your Monday slate. Let's move to Tuesday. Tuesday, Maxi Kleber for the Dallas Mavericks. He injures his hamstring in practice. He's out indefinitely. So one of the key pieces for Dallas coming off their bench will be down for a minute. So you're going to need guys like Dorian Finney-Smith to step up, Dwight Powell to step up, and definitely need more production from Christian Wood as well. So in the interim. But Kleber's your stretch 4. So I believe they still have Davis Bertans on that squad, but he doesn't get as much play lately as one would think. So be nice if he could step up too. So, and speaking of Dallas news, the Dallas Mavericks announced they will unveil the Dirk Nowitzki statue on Christmas Day, because they have a Christmas Day game actually that day. They face the Lakers in Dallas. So they will be revealing the Dirk Nowitzki statue in front of their arena. So well deserved for easily the best player in franchise history, Dirk Nowitzki, that is. So then we have some owner news. Billionaire mortgage executive Matt Ishbia, he plans to purchase the Phoenix Suns. Remember, the embattled Robert Sarver is now forced to sell his team. You know, he's been in the news for all the wrong reasons due to sexual allegations, harassment, and all those sort of things. So Ishbia, he's planning to purchase at $4 billion. That's the going number that's being put out there. Ishbia, he's the head of the United Wholesale Mortgage Company. So, and again, a billionaire. So, I'm sure, he has investors with him and so forth. So, but he has to undergo a vetting process first. So they have to make sure they cross their I's and dot their T's. The league does. They don't want anything to slip through the cracks in terms of, making sure they have a viable owner here. So a little background on Ishbia. He's a former Michigan State player. Actually, he won an NCAA championship in 2000 under Tom Izzo. So this is a guy who, may not have had the skills to go to the next level as far as the NBA, but sound like he's going to make his way into the fraternity if this sales goes through. So, well, at least as an owner. So we will watch that and monitor that situation. All right, so with that said, let's talk about some games that were played on Tuesday. Lauri Markkanen, I've been singing his praises for a minute now, explodes for 38 points as Utah defeats Detroit on the road 126 to 111. So Lauri Markkanen, we know he came over in the Donovan Mitchell trade. He's a player who, when healthy, he can produce. He's been healthy for the most part this year, and he's been playing great. So Lauri Markkanen getting it done. And on the losing side, Jaden Ivey, the rookie over there, 30 points for him. So then we go to Chicago. Chicago stops a 4-game losing streak with a road win over Miami, 113 to 103. Chicago has been reeling as of late, but they get the tough road win here. Miami with no Jimmy Butler in the game, so you know how that goes. They're going to low manage him. So, leading the way for Chicago, Nikola Vucevic, 29 points, 12 rebounds for him, 24 points and 5 rebounds, 5 assists for DeMar DeRozan in that game. And on the losing side, Bam Adebayo, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. So Chicago getting off the schneid a little bit with the win. The New York Knicks, in a nationally televised game on TNT, crushes Golden State 132 to 94. And in that game, leading the way for the Knicks, Emmanuel Quickley, 22 points for him off the bench. And in that game, actually, 6 players were in double figures for the Knicks. And on the losing side, Jordan Poole with 26 points. And in the game, again, it felt like a Golden State coronation. Hardly little to any mention of the Knicks' exploits as of late. Remember, they had the 8-game winning streak. So they came in pretty much the team pretty much favored in this one. But all the talk from the pregame talk on TNT, both Shaq and Charles Barkley pretty much poo-pooing what the Knicks have done as of late going into this game. Then you had the interview with Steph Curry as the game was being played. You had that. So all these different things, and yet Golden State gets crushed on TV. In a road game nonetheless at Madison Square Garden. But all the attention on the world champions. I guess, with the winners goes the spoils, but, if you're a Knicks fan, it seems the coverage was so one-sided, it was ridiculous. So, but, that, I guess with winning comes, some kind of respect, you would think. So, in any event, that's my rant on that. So, let's move on. The Washington Wizards getting the upset win at Phoenix, 113 to 110. And in that game, Kyle Kuzma goes for 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Bradley Beal doing his thing, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists for him. And on the losing side, you got Landry Shamet with 31 points, 5 assists. DeAndre Ayton, 30 points and 13 rebounds. Devin Booker, troubled with the groin injury, so really not a factor in that regard. So, in any event, let's move on. Ja Morant scores 35 points with 10 assists, but in a loss. 105 to 91 loss to Denver. And in that game, of course, Nikola Jokic, for him, 13 points, 13 rebounds, and 13 assists. So 13s across the board, totaling a triple-double, obviously. Aaron Gordon has been playing well this year. 24 points for him, 7 assists for the win. So that's Tuesday news. Let's move on to Wednesday. Wednesday, the big news: the Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame, announced their nominees for 2023. I'll give you the players just to let you know. The finalists will be revealed during All-Star Weekend, and then the actual class, the actual class will be announced during the NCAA Final Four. So here's the players. Here's the men's players. I'll give you first time names first. Dwayne Wade of Miami Heat, obviously. Dirk Nowitzki, we just talked about him getting the statue in front of the Dallas Arena. Tony Parker, first time on the ballot. Of course, the point guard, four-time champ with the Spurs. Paul Gasol of Spain, coming over in the draft, having a very good NBA career, as well as his international play, him being teamed up with his brother Marc Gasol for those teams of Spain. And then one last person who's a first-time person on the ballot. I'm surprised. I thought he would have been on the ballot, but John Williamson, otherwise known as Super John Williamson, is his first time on the ballot. Him of the New York Nets during the ABA days, and coming into the NBA as well. So he's on the ballot as a first timer. So returning players on the ballot: Chauncey Billups of the Detroit Pistons. Well, he bounced around many places, but he won his championship with the Pistons there. Michael Cooper, defensive extraordinaire for those 1980 Lakers. Also Mark Eaton, who revolutionized the game in terms of his shot blocking. A beast when it came to that for the Utah Jazz. Michael Finley of Dallas fame, also spent some time in Phoenix. Then you have Marcus Johnson, one of the great small forwards of the 80s. Mark Jackson, point guard extraordinaire, playing with the Knicks, the Clippers, the Pacers, and a host of others as well. Among the league leaders in career assists. Marcus Lucas, Mo Lucas, known as the Enforcer during his playing days, part of that championship Portland Trailblazer team, along with Bill Walton back in 1977. Sean Marion, the Matrix, of course. Another guy with Phoenix ties as well as Dallas ties. He was there when they won their championship. Reggie Theus, a scoring guard extraordinaire with the Chicago Bulls until a young man named Michael Jordan arrived there. So Reggie Theus, scoring machine. Buck Williams, winner wherever he goes. New Jersey Nets turned them into a winner with his solid play at power forward. Then he goes to Portland as well, and he's part of those teams over there that went on long runs to the finals a couple of times. So those are your players that are on the ballot. Coaches, a couple of first-time coaches. Greg Popovich making it onto the roster of nominees here. Popovich, you know his work with the Sixers, 5 times a champ there. John Beilein, college coach, notably with the Michigan Wolverines, obviously. So he has a plethora of work there. Jim Larinaga rather. Um, Another college coach, well deserved, and then Sean Spyro as well. So another head coach in the college ranks. Few other head coaches of note: Leonard Hamilton, Lou Henson, John Keady, Rolly Massimino, Dick Motta, Jim Phelan, and Paul Westhead making the list as well. So, and then we go to the women players. Jennifer Aziz, who I thought was already in the Hall of Fame. Jennifer Az, I'm sorry, of Stanford fame. She was part of that iconic 1996 women's team that revolutionized women's basketball. Becky Hammond, New York Liberty player as well as a San Antonio Silver Star player, 16 years in the league. Now a coach in the WNBA, but she's getting nominated as a player. Then you have Denise Miller Palmore. She's a player from the 70s. Prolific scorer there. Kim Mulkey. Now, she made it as a coach recently. Now she's getting nominated as a player. And she's a player with those La Tech teams. The point guard there. And Valerie Still. Another baller there. So here's my question: amongst the women players, where in the world is Shamika Holdsclaw? Shamika Holdsclaw belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, she's one of the great players to ever grace the courts as far as college basketball goes. She has an international resume as well. She spent time in the WNBA as well. So Shamika Holdsclaw, where's the love for her, man? Tamika Catchings just recently got in the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. Phenomenal player. But I think even she will say to you, where's my teammate at? Where is Shamika Holdsclaw in terms of being a Hall of Famer? So that's my wonder as far as that goes. As far as women coaches, Lottie Andrews, few other first timer there, Gary Blair as well. So, and then you have a veterans list. On that list includes the late Paul Silas, who just passed away, by the way. So, if he were to get honored, it would be a posthumous honoring of him. So that is your list of nominees as far as that goes. So let's move on to other news. After the league's investigation, the New York Knicks will now have to surrender a 2025 second round pick. They're going to have that rescinded because of the Jalen Brunson free agent signing with the Knicks. So to me, a small price to pay for what that man has brought to this team thus far, but to me it amounts to pretty much a slap on the wrist. So you knew the league would have to do something, so I guess this is the something. But I think the Knicks would trade a second round pick all day long for the production they're getting from Jaylen Brown and how he's helping that team. So then we have Jason Kidd fined $25,000 for confronting and using inappropriate language towards a ref, and that was during a game at Minnesota where with 2 minutes left in the third, he went right on the court and got in this ref's face, man. I saw the video. But, yeah, these things happen. Kind of surprised how it went down, but Jason Kidd being fined for that action. So All right, so let's talk about some games, shall we? Was a pretty big slate of games, but we'll pick out a few to talk about. Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets, one of the hot teams in the NBA right now. They scored 91 points in a half en route to a 143-113 trouncing of Golden State. So Golden State had back-to-back games at the Garden, then at Barclay, and Brooklyn doesn't take it easy on Golden State either. So leading the way, Kevin Durant with 23 points, leading 9 players in double figures. 9 players. By the way, there was no Kyrie in that game. He was out with calf tightness. So KD, Ben Simmons, and those guys took care of business. On the losing side for Golden State, James Wiseman, who's pretty embattled this season thus far, having to have that stint in the G League. 30 points in this game, and he does it on 12 of 14 shooting, and add in 6 rebounds. So James Wiseman, remember, he was the high draft pick for them. He's had a plethora of injuries, but nonetheless, he has a nice game here. Giannis Antetokounmpo pours in 45 points with 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks as the Bucks lose. Actually, they lose this game at Cleveland, 114-106. So Giannis going off in a losing cause. Donovan Mitchell, who we talked about player of the week, 36 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals for him. So leading the way for the Cleveland Cavaliers at home. Then we have Trae Young. Trae Young drops 34 points, including 7 threes, along with 6 assists, 6 rebounds, but it's in a loss. So there's going to be a theme here, guys, from here on in, of guys exploding in games that were a loss. So Trae Young gets his 34 points in a loss at home to Chicago. Chicago's trying to get hot there. So DeMar DeRozan, 28 points for him. And actually in a game where Oyo Dusamo, he hit the game-winning basket for the win for Chicago. And then Dejounte Murray, 15 points for him, 10 assists, 5 rebounds for the Hawks in the loss. So Jason Tatum explodes for 41 points as Boston loses at home to Indiana, 117-112. So Tatum explodes in a loss here. So Tyrese Halliburton continues his all-star campaign, 33 points, 3 rebounds. No. 33 points, of which he had 6 3-pointers and also 8 assists for him. So then Pascal Siakam, this is a win now. He goes nuclear for a career high 52 points with 9 rebounds, 7 assists as Toronto snaps the Knicks' 8-game win streak with a win in the Garden, 113-106. So also supporting in that, Fred VanVleet with 28 points. So Pascal Siakam having a monster week thus far, and his team gets the win. For the losing side, for the Knicks, R.J. Barrett, 30 points for him. J.R. Randall, not J.R. Randall, Julius Randle, 30 points for him. With R.J.'s 30, he has 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and Randall, 13 rebounds, 4 assists for him. But they get the loss. LeBron James goes for 31 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. during a loss, 134 to 120 to Sacramento. And in that game, Domantas Sabonis, oh my gosh, man, this guy is playing. 13 points, 21 rebounds, so another 20 plus rebound game, and 12 assists. So he has the unconventional triple-double with the 20 rebounds along with the double figures and points and assists. And Kevin Huerter, who has quietly been solid for the Kings, 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. But LeBron scoring 31 in the loss. And then LaMelo Ball, he has a triple-double in a loss to the Charlotte Hornets, lose at the Clippers, 126 to 105. And in that game, he has 25 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds. So the triple-double, but they lose the game. So, and then finally, Dame Lillard. He passes Clyde Drexler to become Portland's all-time points leader in a loss. So, again, the theme running strong here. 101-98 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, in that game, Dame Lillard has 16 points, 8 assists, and 2 steals. But he passes the great Clyde Drexler in points scored for the Portland Trail Blazers. So passing a iconic figure for in Blazer history. So, all right, so that's Wednesday. Let us move on to Thursday. Let's kind of run through this quick because, again, I have the episode on the Christmas game. Thursday, not much news across the board, but I did want to highlight some charitable contributions that's been made throughout the NBA. You had the Houston Rockets hosting a holiday party for kids and staff, notably of the Boys and Girls Club. You had the Denver Nuggets also hosting a Boys and Girls Club holiday party. You had Boston Celtic players visiting a local children's hospital, spreading some cheer and joy there. The Kevin Durant, the KD Family Foundation, partnering with Bowie State HBCU that's in Maryland. So they're pairing up for the holidays to, again, be a blessing to others. The Charlotte Hornets, along with local organizations, assisting families during the holiday season. So they're giving back with a organization called Food Lion Feeds, where they go and feed and assist families that are in need. So a lot of good work being done through the NBA. You don't hear a lot of talk about that, but the NBA doing their part in that regard. So with that said, only 2 games on the schedule that during Thursday, so we'll talk about each of them. CJ McCollum drops 40 points, including 7 3-pointers, along with 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, as the Pelicans beat the Spurs 126-117. I tell you what, CJ McCollum, he's been in the league. This is his 10th season now. He has yet to make an All-Star game. I think this is the year where he pushes it in the situation, and I think he gets in. I actually think he gets in. You know why? The team is playing great. Zion Williams doing his thing, obviously. I think it's where you can, depending how things shake out in the next few weeks or so, he probably won't get voted in. I'm pretty sure that he won't get voted in, but he could be amongst the reserves picked. I think it's pretty much overdue. He played in the shadows of Dame Lillard in Portland. Now he moves over to New Orleans, getting a shot to kind of be his own man, so to speak. And he's done that and then some over there for the New Orleans Pelicans. I can see it possible that two of those guys get in there. So, yes. So CJ McCollum, I'm beating the drum for him, guys. CJ McCollum maybe finally making the All-Star game appearance. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And then the second game, Malik Beasley scores 25 from off the bench as Utah overtakes Washington 120 to 112. So Utah continuing their surprising ways over there. And also in that game, Jordan Clarkson, 23 points for him. Lauri Markkanen, you've heard me talk about him ad nauseum, 21 points for him. So, and in that game for Washington, Beal leads the way with 30 points. There was no Kristaps Porzingis in the game, so what can you do there? So, all right, guys. So that is Thursday. Let me go through this Friday slate right quick. Let's talk about news off the court. Anthony Davis now is out indefinitely. So they with the stress injury in the foot. So in this Friday, which is a heavy slate, by the way, 14 games prior to the Christmas Day game. So Anthony Davis with no timetable as of now. Early rumblings I'm starting to hear he could be available in January. I would hedge my bet to say probably towards the latter end of January. Maybe you'll get him back. So definitely keep a watch there. I actually, funny enough, I actually traded for him in fantasy, one of my leagues. So took 3 players to get him, but yeah. So I'm rolling the dice, guys, that coming out of this he can be all right for the rest of the season. I ain't holding a lot of hope on to that, but we'll see. He was playing phenomenal before he got injured, so I'm sure we can. There'll be a theme to as far as that goes. So anyway, so that is the news off the court, at least in terms of Anthony Davis for the Lakers. All right, let's talk about the games that were played. Again, a 14-game slate. We won't go through every game, chapter and verse, but a few games that stood out, a few standout games here. So, Cole Anthony flirts with a triple-double from the bench in a 133-113 win over San Antonio. Cole Anthony, he's just coming back from an injury as well. So, and in that game, he has 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. So, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. So, Orlando has a quite interesting situation there. They have 3 guards, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, and Jalen Suggs. So, I'm not sure if we'll have all 3 of those guys when the dust settles around the trade deadline. It's quite possible Orlando makes a move on one of those guys. We'll see which one it is. I have no clue. But you got 3 viable guards there. Jalen Suggs still banged up himself, but Markelle Fultz healthy. Cole Anthony now healthy. So we'll see what happens there. Joel Embiid goes off for 44 points, along with Harden getting a triple-double for him. 20 points, 21 assists, 11 rebounds. So he has a 20-20 game as Philly defeats the Clippers 119 to 114. So the Embiid-Harden combination paying off big time as of late. So the Sixers getting the win. You may have heard this before. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum leads Boston over the Minnesota Timberwolves 121 to 109. Jaylen Brown for him 36 points with 7 rebounds. Jason Tatum, 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. So those two guys, of course, delivering for the Boston Celtics. And in the loss, Anthony Edwards, been talking about him. 30 points for him with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Again, Anthony Edwards holding down the fort until reinforcements arrive in the form of Karl Anthony Towns. So Kevin Durant, 24 points for him with 6 assists, 5 rebounds, leading Brooklyn to their 8th straight win, beating Milwaukee 118-100. So pretty much a statement game for Brooklyn there over Milwaukee. And in that game, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 26 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. So Nets getting hot right now. So I know, guys. I didn't think they, I picked them last for reasons which I know, but I still don't trust this team. I'm sorry, I still don't trust this team, even with the 8-game win streak. Fine, I grant you that, but I think something's bound to go awry there. I'm just hedging my bets towards that. So anyway, Knicks, they lose a nail biter at home to Chicago, 118-117. In that game, R.J. Barrett goes for a season high 44 points, including 6 threes, 7 rebounds, 4 assists in the loss. And this game actually was won with a jumper by DeMar DeRozan, who has 25 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals in that game. Zach LaVine leads all Chicago scorers with 33 points. And then also on the losing side, Julius Randle, 29 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks for the Knicks. So Knicks had that nice streak going. Now they're kind of sliding a bit. So Luka Doncic, he drops a 50 burger along with 10 rebounds, 8 assists, as he helps Dallas get the win at Houston, 112-106 in that game as well. Jabari Smith, 24 points in the loss, along with 10 rebounds. And then Jalen Green, their fine young guard, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. So Luka Doncic catching fire as of late. So carrying this team as best as he can. Heaven knows he needs the help over there. So we'll see what happens there. Tyrese Halliburton with a career high 43 points, 7 assists. By the way, in those 43 points, 10 3-pointers. Wow. For the road win over Miami. Miami's been reeling. 111-108. And in that game, Tyler Hero leads Miami with 28 points, including 5 3-pointers in that game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a name I keep echoing, 44 points for him with 10 rebounds, 6 assists, but it's in a loss. OKC loses in overtime to the Pelicans, 128-125. So, and in that game, leading the way for the Pelicans, Trey Murphy III, 23 points, who's been filling in well for the injured Brandon Ingram. So Trey Murphy III getting it done as he leads 6 players over there in double figures. So Dame Lillard drops 34 points with 8 assists, 7 rebounds, but they lose on the road to Denver, 120-107. So Dame Lillard, his team, remember, they were hot in the beginning, starting to reel a bit, so not sure what's going on there. Nikola Jokic leading the way for Denver, 29 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals. And Jamal Murray, who's starting to come around health-wise, 25 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals for him. So, few more games, guys, and then we'll be done. Desmond Bane returns after missing 18 games with that sprained toe, as the Memphis Grizzlies beat Phoenix on the road 125-100. Desmond Bane in that game, 17 points for him. There was no Devin Booker. Again, Devin Booker with the groin injury seems to be plaguing him as of late. So, no Devin Booker in this game. Leading the way for the Grizzlies, Jarrett Jackson Jr., 24 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. Excuse me. And Brandon Clark from the bench, 24 points for him, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals. So, but Desmond Bane, get him back, a big key for the Memphis Grizzlies, what he brings to that team. So definitely watch the Grizzlies now that they seem like they're getting back to full strength. So, Domantas Sabonis, who's been having a sensational week, he injures his hand like late in the home loss to Washington, 125-111. In that game, he has 20 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. So he has the triple-double, but he injures his hand. So we'll talk more about that next week and all the ramifications behind that. But leading the way for Washington, Kyle Kuzma, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And in the loss, De'Aaron Fox, 26 points, 7 rebounds. And then LeBron scores 34 points, but along with 8 assists in a home loss to the Hornets, 134-130. So LeBron's doing that in a loss. PJ Washington leading the way for the Hornets, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. And then the combination of Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball, 23 points. So, all right, guys. So that is Monday through Friday for the week of week 10. When I come back, my next episode, Christmas Day games. We'll talk about each and every game. We'll break it down. We'll talk about it. So, once again, guys, I thank you for listening. Much appreciated as always. And we'll talk soon. And that'll be about the Christmas Day games. All right? All right, guys. Take care. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www.allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So, once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. And take care and be safe.